Welcome to another episode of Rick's Garage. I'm Rick the Welder, and today's episode is going to be a little bit of a cut and paste thanks to a catastrophic failure of a memory card. Today's task is going to be correcting the ride height in the front of Black Betty, and it's really going to show the joy of fabrication and finding out that things don't always go according to plan. Let's jump right in and take a look. Took another trip down to the local trade school and whipped these bad boys up. These are going to be the new bump stop mounts that I'm going to be installing. Main reason for these is when the truck is aired completely out, it actually can't roll. The front tires scrub up against the inner fender wells, which makes it a little bit difficult. So if this truck is going to end up getting sold, the next owner might have some problems. And so to alleviate that, and as well to ask for some more money, that's where these are going to come in. So let me put these down on the bench and we'll swing around and take a closer look at them. Alright, these are the rear mounts, and in all honesty, these were probably the easier of the two to make. Only because where they're going to be mounting is going to have a completely flat surface. This is going to get mounted onto the side of the chassis and just welded around the perimeter. So quick and easy, just cut it out of some plate, tacked it together, squared it up, welded it out. These are actually the original factory bump stops for the rear, so a little notch has been cut. So if ever they do need replacing, then they'll just slide out. Obviously these are going to look a lot better once some paint's on them and once they're on the truck. Now the front ones are a little bit of a different story. You can see they're quite a bit different in shape. As well, I've just got this one temporarily tacked together. The reason being is the way this is going to be mounted is it needs to accommodate for the spring pocket in the lower control arm. This is going to need to be contoured. Basically what I want to do is create like a leg that sits almost down into the spring pocket beside the airbag, because as this comes up, the weight of the vehicle is going to be down on top of the nub. Well, that didn't work. Unfortunately, there was absolutely no way that bump stop was going to hold the weight of the front end of that truck. So the next step was to tear the front end apart and head back to the trade school for plan B. Alright, to break down this front end, I've got to disconnect the sway bar over here, the shock absorber over on the other side, and then finally the ball joint underneath. And this is the part that I've been digging for. This is the cup that attaches to the bottom of the airbag. We've got bolt holes here. 2 bolts fire up through the bottom of this cup, threaded into the bottom of the bag, and that gives the height of the airbag sitting at rest. I've gone ahead already and welded on the 3/4 inch spacer that I made at the trade school. All I have left to do is to bolt this all back together, drop the truck back on the ground, and check the new ride height. Not even close. With this spacer that I installed, Black Betty was basically sitting at stock ride height with no air in the bags. On the plus side, at least I got pretty good at tearing the front end apart, so let's go at it once more. Okay, small change of plans. That 3/4 inch spacer was way too big. Had the truck sitting too high off the ground. So I went back to the trade school. Cut a new spacer, 3/8 of an inch thick, should have the truck sitting exactly where I want it. You can see I've cut the 3/4 inch spacer off, but I've left half the weld there. And what that's going to do is act as my filler material as I just reheat this area with my TIG torch and fuse the new spacer on. Alright, I'm going to call this job done. With that spacer in there, I've got the ride height exactly where I want it. When the truck's aired out, it's still plenty low, but high enough that the tires don't scrub so it can still roll. Definitely can't complain about that result. Well, I am super relieved that that finally worked out. As you guys can see, Things don't always go according to plan, but the key is to keep trying until you find something that finally does work. As always, thanks guys very much for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.